this. And then he challenged me to try to put on my shoes, and I couldn't. He challenged me to go upstairs, and that was really difficult. Several of us who put on these prosthetics were actually falling down and struggling just with the mobility of what maybe an 80-year-old might be experiencing. And then they said, well, if we're not done with you, sit on that toilet, right? So with my pants on and these prosthetics on, I sit on the toilet, and right next to me on my right was a grab bar. And the grab bar, I noticed, had numbers from 0 to 90 degrees. So you can actually move the grab bar and fix it at different points. You can fix it at 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 45 degrees, 15, 30, all these things, right? And through more than 10,000 tests with different customers, they found out that there's an optimal angle in which someone elderly especially could grab onto that grab bar and feel comfortable. So your wrist is strong, your arm is strong, and from that toilet you can lift yourself up with the least amount of resistance and the most comforting, the optimal comfort level for your wrist, hand, arm with which to pull yourself off the toilet. So if in a research and development facility which assesses so many aspects of homes and how we live in them, if we obsess over the optimal degree, which is 15 degrees off vertical, by the way, then imagine what goes into the rest of the home. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Carl Hansen, who is our VP of Operations for Las Vegas, and he's going to talk to you about a little bit more in depth. I find very, very interesting.
Thanks, Ralph. Appreciate everybody for coming out. So my goal is to turn you all into Shawood construction experts in the next 10 minutes here. So there's a lot of proprietary technology that's involved with these homes. Our company holds over 800 patents that are specific to us. And some of them are on display here, and I wanted to just walk you through some of them. The first one I'll start with is actually the wood itself. Obviously a very noticeable difference as you walk in. The wood's a lighter color, you don't see mold. These are all laminated pieces of wood that creates the structure for these homes. It's sustainably harvested out of the Scandinavian region. So for every tree that we take, we plant 2 additional trees. And because we laminate the pieces together, we're able to use more parts of that tree and utilize more of that timber and without it going to waste. So behind this gentleman here, the display, Mike, I'd like to get you to stand on it. Sure. So the first piece here, you'll see flexes a lot lower to the ground, so it's a weaker piece of wood. And they have machines that they test all the wood and determine its strength. So there's a note on the end of each of them what the strength value is. So it goes from weakest to strongest.
Here's the difference. This one versus this one.
And so once they determine that, the computers will decide how to laminate that together into one piece of wood. And so what goes on display here is a different way to laminate. So if you did not do it intentionally and just randomly put them together, these are the same strengths of foam as a demonstration. But layered wrong, it has a lot of flex. Layered correctly, the same strengths create a very strong bond and together a nice beam and post. So we're able to use those weaker pieces of wood in the center and still maintain that strength that we're after for each beam that's designed for it. And then in the connections itself, so to create that earthquake-proof ability, we have bolted to the ground. These connections look like this, so it has a fin, and each structural post will go over that fin, and then there's 3 pins that go in there. And so there's no nails, bolted to the concrete, pinned to the post, and that creates a very strong connection to the foundation. Then at the top, we use what is called a super metal joint, also proprietary. So you'll see when you turn around behind you, there's a bullet point up high. You can see those 4 gold pucks, bronze pucks are there. That's the back side of the structure joint that goes through the wood. And then this is on the other side of that. And then each beam is precision cut in Japan, shipped here, and it just slides into place on top of that super metal joint. Once that's together, it creates a really strong connection. And it's important to note a couple things about the technology. It's precise, and so in order for us to put this structure together, we have to make sure our foundation is also precise. There's no cutting of the beams once they get here. It is what it is. So that means that normal construction, you know, if you're a half inch out of square, quarter inch out of square, the framer can just extend his wood and cut it to the edge of the foundation. Whereas here we cannot. It needs to match exactly to plan in order for these homes to go together, which then formulates the foundation on up. That now we have straighter walls, straighter cabinets, straighter windows for the blind people that hang blinds. So the other thing with the precision, Mike, who was helping me demonstrate here, is part of our quality team, and we have the 2 other full-time quality inspectors that just left. But they're here full-time to make sure that we're putting these homes up to the Sekisui house and Shawood quality. So what I'm demonstrating here in this hand, that's the thickness of what is traditionally accepted as the maximum allowance for code in the United States. So a wall could be out of plumb this much.
In 10 feet. In 10 feet.
Before it's considered a flaw. And then our standard is much tighter. So this happens to the bottom of the post, because each post has to be the right level, and so the ceilings can all be flat, as well as the vertical. Every post as part of the structure system is tested with a laser level and ensure that it's within the tolerances that we will accept. All right, so one more piece here is the exterior of the home. So this is another proprietary product that's made in Japan. It's a ceramic. This is an exterior cladding, like it replaces stucco. We're going to build one of our homes with 100% bellboard on the outside of it. Some of the advantages is it is fire resistant up to 1200 degrees. It is scratch resistant, so you can abrase it. It's not going to tarnish the finish. And the coolest thing about it is this finish is going to last 60 years without having to repaint. So I know if you drive around neighborhoods, you'll see not everybody's keeping up with their paint after 10, 15 years to start to fade. This is not going to fade in the sun. Don't have to repaint it. And then the last thing that I was going to share is not displayed here, but all of our homes are designed to a zero energy home standard for the energy efficiency. So we have a great exterior insulation, a little thicker than 2x4. It's about 4 3/4 inches, so that allows us to give more insulation in the walls. We use spray foam, and then design precision equipment for energy efficiency. We have an electric HVAC system, heat pump that's energy efficient, that helps us create a home that will perform at zero for the year. Included with solar is included with the home, and a battery is included with the home.
And car charger.
And a car charger, thanks. And then the customer can also choose if they would like to purchase what we call a resilient package, which will add 3 additional batteries, so 4 batteries total to the home, and some additional solar. And with that chosen, if the power was ever to go out here in Vegas, this home could live comfortably for 3 or 4 days, depending on how much you have turned on. But you'd have your refrigerator, you have your Wi-Fi, you have your air conditioning, would all be running until those batteries are completed. Anything that I missed?
Yeah, so we just info dumped on you for several minutes. And it's really important that this become interactive, because you see a lot of other national home builders in this market. Earlier in the day was the president of the Home Builders Association, Tina, and I can't remember her last name, but Frias. So Tina Frias and her staff was here because we wanted to show her in her leadership capacity. Tina is trying to essentially make sure that home building going forward is going to get better, not worse. And we're trying to show that with the Japanese technologies that we're transferring from Japan here, if we can take those exacting standards from Japan and bring them over here, and you'll, like Carl said, 2 of our expats are Japanese quality assessors. They just stepped out, but they were flown here for a specific and intentional reason. We here in the States have different standards, and so part of the knowledge transfer is having them walk alongside us and show us a different level of standards. Mike Salerno there, who's our quality assurance leader, and making sure that our superintendents throughout the organization get trained to a certain standard, because there's a different level of expectation. we're trying to differentiate ourselves from the sea of the other builders that have historically building the same way over and over. There might be more innovative design, but the walls themselves are generally the same. And hopefully you can start seeing that the walls are a little bit more straight. A lot more straight. You can see a lot more precision. Yes, there's roof trusses that don't come from Japan, and sheathing that doesn't come from Japan, but the majority of it, the structural components, are that much more precise. And we want you to feel those things because that's the differentiator here. Because if you have, to Carl's point, a slab that is that much more precise, that means that this wood, we have to send them a design from the States for what's going to go onto this lot. We have to send a machine order to Japan. Japan gets their wood from Scandinavia, mills it to this specific lot and this lot alone. And then they ship it on a container ship from Japan to Long Beach or wherever, right? And then we transport it here to Vegas. And then it's very, very precise. And either Carl or Mike will talk about
I just
it.
thought one thing I could add is an interesting story. So they actually cut it slightly differently by climate because we have a very dry climate here in Nevada. They cut it a little more close, whereas when we're shipping to Vancouver, Washington, or Camas, it has a slightly different measurement because it'll expand and moisture. So that's how precise they're getting this, is to understand how the wood changes with the moisture.
Yeah. So,
Actually, Ralph, can I just add on that real quick?
please.
As we've been building the Shawood, Las Vegas has pretty much been the testing ground. We've expanded elsewhere. But I just want to speak to the intentionality and how precise it is. So we noticed when we first started building in Las Vegas, depending on the time of year, the rate of shrinkage of the material is different. So we actually have begun for the summertime milling the material 1 millimeter bigger in every direction because we know by the time we assemble it, it's going to shrink up a millimeter. I mean, this is just the level of precision and intentionality that goes into what we do.
Yeah.
Thanks. And we have a really large group, but with a smaller group that we had earlier, we actually spent time introducing to Tina and her team the specific individuals that comprise the Shawood team. And I'll summarize it like this so that you can go about exploring this home and the team can kind of walk you through the features and the benefits of the home. But I want you to come away with a few stories and I'll highlight some folks. Alberto, where are you at? Alberto Hernandez. Here's the superintendent who's been building for a couple of decades traditional homes. He's gone from, say, a degree, a college degree in home building, to now he's getting his PhD. The mindset shift for working for Sekisui House demands us to be more precise, demands us to look for excellence, demands us to slow down enough such that if any of the Japanese auditors who've come here to do 9 inline inspections above and beyond what the city requires, right? They have the right and they have the authority to stop production if at any point in the production machine that something's wrong with the home. Imagine if we didn't have that standard, if we didn't have that kind of obsession, a home would be built with imperfections, and then another trade would come in and build atop those imperfections. And what you get after 120 days, 180 days, 240 days, whatever the cycle time is to build a home, you've compounded errors on top of defects. And then if you don't have straight walls, for example, the cabinet installer is going to have to adjust the wall to be able to accommodate it, or you as a homeowner are going to look at a wall and see that there's some jogging here and there. That's why we have the investment of time and resources to send resources from Japan here to help us in the American market, in the US market, understand that there's a better way of building. So Alberto is getting a PhD in building, and if you ask Mike Salerno, who was in his shoes maybe 5 or so years ago, he was burnt out. He was burnt out from the traditional way of building. He was exploring, leaving the industry and getting introduced to Sekisui House and its noble vision of making home the happiest place in the world, coupled with love of humanity, because we have to care about enough about people, that we're not just selling you a home transactionally. We want you to move into this home, raise your family, and maybe generations to come. Maybe, Carl, you could talk to the fact that this engineering is so robust that you can actually move things down the line, let's say 20, 30 years down the road. You can actually move walls so that you can reconfigure the home without too much disruption structurally. Could you talk to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll see a lot of the beams and the posts, but everything in between is non-structural. And so there's areas of the home that you can expand a window or more easily remodel. There's a lot more flexible space. So it's called this hybrid design system here. So enables you flexible where you want to place those areas to be open to different things. And there's 3 pillars of Shawood that are the basis for the design. One of them is to reassure me, and hopefully you've heard some of that message with the strength of the product. One is sustainability, which you heard a little bit about with the energy efficiency, how it's sustainable with the wood. And the other one is inspire me. So with an open to the outdoors, with large windows and doors, there's intentional placement of where plants and trees will go to actually think through, okay, where are the shadows going to be? How is this going to be best viewed from the inside to draw you into the nature of the outside? So everything is with intent. Every post that you see is stamped and has a location predetermined of where that goes. So you can't take that post and put it over there. It's set for this exact spot, and that has to do with every post in our home.
Yep, thank you. Also on the team, Matt Cullen, our Shawood project manager and Air Force reservist. Thank you for your service. He's come on board the team to bring a level of sophistication in project management that most home builders don't see, and everything Carl espoused to on the landscaping side to make sure that you're talking to some organizations like who, with respect to
Springs Reserve and UNLV's horticultural department to make sure that we're aligning what we are doing in the landscape fits with things that are drought resistant, drought tolerant, and taking those lessons learned from those groups.
Yeah. So as much as you're standing in a home, there's a story that's much bigger than the house itself. It's the community, it's the elevations, it's the landscaping. Because if you've ever moved into a home, I know when I moved here 5 years ago from Northern California, I was grouchy for about a year until my landscaping and my hardscape came in. I don't know if you're the same as me, but I would walk out to a dirt lot, I'm like, ugh. I'm so connected to my outside. I needed to have things a certain way, because if you do it properly, the house is a component of it, but the outside can be an extension of your home. You can entertain beyond the footprint of the foundation. You can entertain and you can have useful spaces on your property, and this is what the Orchards presents to us. So maybe Jess, you could talk about, from your standpoint, a little bit of this community and what we're aiming to do.
Yeah, so we, I know some of you, thank you for coming a second day in a row. We had some out at the Arcadia. But we know that people in our area love single stories. So we wanted to design some single story product. Out here we have a few different parcels. So we have 52 houses that we're going to build out here. So we wanted to be able just to bring some new designs, add to our library, and be able to adjust to the market. And the single stories are very popular. These are going to go from about 3,000 up to 4,100 square feet. So it's a new area. We have close to some nature-related items. Gilcrest Orchards is out here. We got some custom, so we love this area out here and are excited to build. So I appreciate you guys coming out, and I know you guys have clients that want to be out here as well. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
All right.
You have a question? Tammy has a question?
Yeah.
So I want to know, there's so much specifics going into the construction and bringing it here. What does that do to your timeline of build?
Great question.
Great
Great
You
question.
want me to field that?
Does add to our timeline.
Sure.
Both in, because we have to make a factory order. They make it, it ships here, and then we have to transport it from LA Harbor to Las Vegas. So we pre-plan that, so the order goes in, and then the construction timeline does take a little longer as well, as you can imagine, with the precise nature that we're achieving here in our Shawood homes. But it has been getting better as our trades learn it, because it's also new to all of our trades, right? We had to teach them. That's why Michael's out there all day helping train and teach both our, our own employees, but also the trades that install these proprietary
And even the inspectors, because a lot of the inspectors, this is so different, they're not sure what they're looking at.
And I have one correction to the record, because I know Mark needs a room. When I said one of our 3 pillars was sustainability, it's actually worded heal me and the planet.
Yes.
But it basically means sustainability.
And so one more question to add to kind of go off of that is the people that you have working here, your subs, is that like a whole huge training process? Because I mean, we all know how.
It is, yeah. So we have actually a vetting process. So Michael's part of that, people from corporate office. So before we hire a trade, we have to all agree that this is a good trade for this type of business. And then of course, it's upfront discussions with them, it's on-site training with them. There's a lot involved, and it's constant as well, because they have employee turnover, right? And so they bring somebody new in, and so now we have to make sure they understand the reasons and the purpose of what they're doing.
That's a great question, and obviously the goal is efficiency, and to do that, you have to have guys learn better. And as Carl's point, with the turnover, Alberto, I don't know if you saw his hard hat, he has specific stickers on his hat, which means that he has made his way through the internal training process. So he now is okay to train the trades on site of the proper way of how we're doing it. And then with what Ralph was saying, our Japanese QC expats, which are actually at the Summerlin job right now performing internal inspections, that's why they're not here, with their help as well. It's just an additional layer of making sure we're doing it per our standards and making sure that we have constant supervision over the trades. Our framer was here earlier, he'll tell you, after a few houses they learn it, they require less supervision, but yes, it is constant learning and there is a little extra time.
Well, and just one other thing to add to that, Rigo, was great to share with us the framework. They had to go out and buy lasers, so every wall that they walk in here are lasered. So not just with eye or tapes, but actual lasers. So they're really seeing the value of stepping up to be able to meet our standards. And again, it's just a process, but we're excited to be part of it and train. They want to learn. They're like, we've never seen anything like this. So it's really trying to work with our partners, hand in hand, trying to improve that process from internal employees to our trade partners. So, yeah.
They get a sense of pride too, because they know what we're doing is more precise, more accurate, and it gives them a sense of pride as well.
And adding to that, just being trade partners, when we started the process 7 years ago, we actually flew our framers and our concrete principals out to Japan, so they can see the process of how they were building the houses in Japan, to make sure we're doing the same thing here in the United States. And like they were saying, it's just a process to teach them. When we did our first models up in Arcadia, if you guys are familiar with that product, to these models, it's taken us half the amount of time to frame these houses that it took us up in Arcadia.
So is your question related to, if I bring a buyer here and they sign a contract, how long will it be till they get their home? Is that your question?
That was right in there, yes.
Okay, so how long, ideally, from contract to close?
10 months.
10 months.
Oh, that's not, no, that's kind of like,
Yeah.
that's not what we know, that's exactly where we kind of are really,
Yeah.
unless you're the airport. with the
Yeah.
graph of it.
Mike, you
You
probably were
said
alluding
that.
to
We
it.
did, right?
So, again, the wood comes from Scandinavia, goes to Japan. We submit an order, they call a machine order to Japan once they get, what's gonna go on this lot, on this address, for this homeowner, right? With all the structural selections chosen. There's no changing your mind. That's the other thing we need your help on, is the moment you go into contract, your buyers go into contract, once you commit to that, there's no changing. That order is sent and it's coming across the ocean.
So building on that, going through the new construction that we typically do, are you already putting homes on lots, or are you maneuvering it like any home can go on any lot, provided we meet county
Yeah,
setbacks? and
most lots. So there's a few lots that won't fit every plan, but that's the intent, is to choose a lot and then choose your house.
Mhm. Yep, we're gonna allow you to do that in all of the areas. And again, we'll partner with our sales team. Michael will be out here selling, Alicia will be out here selling, and
Yeah.
Taylor. And so we'll choose a lot. we'll choose a plan, elevation, color, and then your structurals. Once that's finalized, just like Ralph said, that order goes out, so there's no changing there. But then we'll also partner you with our inspiration gallery to pick all the finishes, and we have a little bit more time to do that. So.
Just what was it, Arcadia? We had one lot that couldn't fit one plan, and all the rest fit everywhere, right?
Yeah, I think there was one or two. I think there's a couple out there.
Yeah.
But these are all half acres, so we should be pretty good.
Yeah,
I
pretty
have that
flexible.
exception out here. Yeah.
And to reassure people, right, when we say we submit that factory order, there are about 12 people that go through and evaluate those structural options. So when a buyer makes those options, they create their addendum A's from the sales team that comes to me. I create the checklist of every individual that has to quality check all of those selections, make sure all the options fit. Then that lot gets drawn specifically. So we actually have a team that does lot-specific drawings for those options. That gets reviewed, evaluated again, and then sent to Japan, where the Kanto factory evaluates the drawings before it gets submitted into their machine system. So there's a lot.
There'll be a test later. There'll be a test later.
What other questions do you guys have?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the name of the subdivision and when's the first delivery date?
Well, the Orchards
Okay.
is the name of the community. We've got
Fitting.
we got 4 different parcels. We have 8 lots here. Across the street, we have 27. Up on Homestead and O'Hare, there's 16. And then right over here off the farm, there's another 9.
Okay.
So we have some different parcels. So we'll start pre-selling probably. We'll give you guys first preview, right? Mid-June, we'll start our pre-sales, and then we get a sale, and we'll start the process.
So delivery-
First
The
delivery.
grand open is in August, and then first production working to start first production.
So delivery is 2027.
Delivery 2027 for this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Is there any way, any questions before I maybe plant some
Hold on,
questions?
guys. Delivery's 2027 for this product line. We still have another one available in Summerlin. Because I haven't seen there yet, so you should.
For Arcadia, yeah.
Okay, it is
Yeah.
25 lots left over.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I just wanted to
You've
share
been-
out that
Yes,
the
Alicia.
upfront process while we're waiting for the framing package to come in is really a valuable time for your buyers to visit. They can go back and forth to the design center doing different iterations, re-looking at colors. Exactly. It's designed to be a really nice, enjoyable process without pressure for them to make decisions very quickly. So, and they meet with the electrician, and it's, we want their experience to be elevated as well as our build. So it's a nice upfront process for them.
Alicia, at Arcadia, how much average are they spending on upgrades, would you say?
15 to 18% of the base.
And then another thing that we do, something that's a little bit different, is that we will do the backyards. For the home buyers, a lot of the builders will not do that. We will do that. So to your point, Alicia, as you meet with our landscape company, our pool company, you can design your yard, you can play with that a little bit, and it can really be a turnkey for your buyers. So that also is another, elevated experience, right?
How did you find that they're using you guys for the backyards at Arcadia?
We do have some, several.
Mhm.
What else would be a good experience for the buyers you bring here? What do you think would resonate with them? If that's all it takes, yeah, we'll just have a permanent coffee bar. Oh,
Is there an in-house winemaker who's your lighting partner?
that'd be great. Big question.
Home American is who we're going to partner with. We're been in the middle of an integration, so yeah, we'll be partnering with them, and they've got all sorts of programs, different loans. People. We can. I'll work something with you. But they're looking at this buyer profile, and it looks like our backlog for Arcadia right now, everybody's putting around 20%, or we've got some people going cash. So yeah, we've got somebody that can work with you. We'll get something done. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Lunchtime.
Lunchtime.
Well, maybe I'll preemptively address some questions we've heard before.
Sure.
I don't know if you have any top of mind, but one of the things that you're going to see here when we have these 4 finished models is you see a lot of design, and you'll also see an experience center. The experience center is going to be across the street at that model, which is not walkable today. But you're going to have a different sales experience that's going to be differentiated. And rather than rush, here's my advice. rather than rush your customers just through the models, I would take the time and slow them down to hear the Sekisui house story, to hear about the super metal joints that Carl and Mike talked about. I would slow them down to understand why this is a little bit different than maybe Lennar across the street and any other similarly sized home and that price per square foot. If they're only going price per square foot, probably not your ideal buyer, because we're going to be differentiated from just upfront, because there's so much more thought and investment into these homes to last generations. The fire resistant cladding. Have you ever seen a Japanese pottery? Well, think about that times 2,000, where you have these panels that are in a kiln, fire glazed, shipped from Japan over here, and clipped onto the wall so that it can also be resilient with a home if in case there's any movement. The cladding will move as well, in addition to being fire resistant upwards of 1,200 degrees or so. That's really important for your buyers to slow down enough, not breeze through the experience center. It's pretty. They're there to actually share. Michael and Alicia and Taylor are there to tell you the whole story so your buyers know what they're buying into, because it's not just another house. Does that spark any questions from you? Or I saw a lot of heads nodding. So that's good.
Alicia has one.
Alicia.
I just want to say thank you for bringing up that price per square foot difference, because not only in construction wise, but design wise and in the guts of the home, we have a lot of very special included features that you typically don't see in homes. So when you're looking at price per square foot, it's important to break that down and examine everything that automatically comes with the home, not just be looking at a number.
So can you talk to that? Maybe you guys can talk to that a little bit more. So Carl mentioned earlier a zero energy home. Do you guys know what that is?
That doesn't mean that it's ready to accept solar. It means this house is producing as much energy in a year that it takes to run, which means it is a net zero home. Most of our competitors are selling net zero ready homes, which means it's pre-plumbed to receive all the additional expensive stuff that we give you included in the home already, and operational, fully functional.
Is there one battery backup initially?
So yeah, it comes with one battery or energy storage system. Yes, actually a Tesla battery, so really good brand. And then the solar is included, and it's car charger as well.
Yeah, and then there's a resilient package, and then there's a resilient package that you can upgrade to buy additional battery packs, maybe a couple more arrays on your roof, such that if the grid ever goes down, you could be off-grid operating your home, your refrigerator, you don't have things spoil or your ice cream melt on you, and that's comforting knowing that you could be off the grid for 3, 4, 5 days potentially.
How do you base your solar panels? Are you basing it on the square footage?
Every single house is calculated out for the demand requirements, the way it fits, the direction it goes, everything is its own design for each house.
Yep.
And then along with that, you have that span energy management system that helps too. So we're able to give you more accessible power with a less feed from the street, and allows you to prioritize what you want. So to Ralph's point, if you get the resilience package, which is the 4 total Tesla batteries, the whole kit and caboodle, right? Your critical loads that you get to determine what they are can run up to 6 days completely off the grid. Now, most people are choosing their food, freezers, refrigerators, the microwave, air conditioning, lighting. Obviously, you'll have to throttle down the other things on your house in order to make that power last as long as possible, but you, the buyer, get to choose what those critical items are.
So the other benefit is you can choose when you're drawing power from the grid. So you have battery storage in your home, so you can tell it, they use the battery during this peak
Expensive
kilowatt
hours, yeah.
and then store it, at night. It's cheaper. So you can control that.
All right, I understand now that we're going to do the tour now. Yes, so Mandy, why don't you tell us what's next?
Absolutely. So again, these are brand new floor plans. So you guys are really getting the actual first glimpse into what we have going on here. So this is going to be our plan 8029. It's our Ibuki plan. You can see over here, this is just like a rough drawing of kind of what this model looks like. But so right now, where we're standing, where I'm standing right now is going to be your dining space. So you have your foyer right here where you enter into your home, opens right into dining. We have this game room that we're hosting the presentation in. Over here is our great room, kitchen. And then if you guys, I can take you through, or over here is going to be our primary bath is right behind. We have a drop zone, prep kitchen area, laundry up here, 2 bedrooms, and then a secondary bedroom with ensuite over here. So if you guys want to take a walk through.
Any features here that will really stand out once you come through that front door? Anything here?
Yes, so this one, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, we have clear view. No, we do not have clear view in this model, but there's clear view optional. And we'll be showcasing our Shawood clear view in a few other models across the street in our in our Toho plan we'll have clear view, which if you've been to Arcadia, it is that we'll have the wood clad kind of like drop ceiling that extends out onto your covered patio. So if you walk right into our first model at Arcadia, the Pinion, you'll see that showcased there. But pretty much the cool stuff here is we do have ensuite bedroom, a primary bath with a tub. We have 2 covered patios, so the primary bedroom has its own private covered patio, and then we are modeling the extended covered patio here. Yes.
What's that structure back there?
Oh, yes, thank you for bringing that up. That is going to be our pool house. So one of the cool things here at the Orchards as well is we have options for detached RV garage, RV garage, I'll call it a toy garage, with a living space above, which we have showcased over across the street again. We have the casita, and then the pool house, which we have showcased here.
Cool.
Yeah, walk around. Yeah, take a little walk around. Again.